right. Let's see here. Good evening, everybody. See if you guys can hear me. Do a quick little sound check. Hashtag take it. I haven't done that yet. I'm the overachiever tonight. Still trying to get my kids in bed. Yeah, I was. That's like exactly what I was doing, Will. All right. No, I have not done the ticket. Look at you guys, man. You guys are golden. You're like, yep, getting the ticket. I don't know why you're all applying. Will's taking it. He already called it yesterday. He called his shot. So as people are filtering in, as I mentioned last night, we are going to do something on the oil inventories report tomorrow. So according to Forex Factor, the oil inventory forecast number is minus 2.3. Okay. So the question this week for, we're going to do it for, where did I do it? Oh, this is the betting one. Okay. This is going to be for, will oil inventories be above or below? All right. So I'm going to head and create and start that one. Now remember, guys, this one's slightly different, right? This is the one that you actually have to bet 10 pip chips, and what happens is it gets divided between the winners and losers. Last time, Ernest and I were the only two winners. You guys all picked above, and him and I picked below, and it was below. So him and I got a nice little hefty chunk of pip chips last time, so we'll see if you guys do better this time. So remember, this time it is hashtag, or not hashtag, I keep saying that, God, exclamation point bet. It's either above or below. And then you can do it in increments of 10. Okay, 10 is the minimum that you guys, there's no free tickets in this one. And again, what happens is it'll expire, and then tomorrow night I will show which one is the winner. But you guys have 5 hours to get your votes in for this one. All right. Now, that is the contest. Okay. Now, the giveaway is what you guys are familiar with. Okay. Let me do a copy of that one. And this is the one you guys love. I got it. Bam. Okay, that one's good as well. Okay, so there's two. There's the bet 10, or you can bet whatever number you want in increments of 10. Or James and Wealth Builder, it would be exclamation point bet and then the words above and below and then a number. If that makes sense. So here, I'll go ahead and type one in real quick so you guys can see it. Hold on. It would be this bet above 10. There you go. Okay, you guys can see that one? You guys should be able to see it. I was copying James. When James is making money, it's awesome to copy James. When James is fat fingering things, not necessarily the best. So those are the two things. And you know, again, we'll go in the contest. You can see that there are, there are 2 entries in there right now. Obviously, James said above, I said below. All right. So again, that's a little. And again, remember, this is a way that you can kind of magnify this. If you're right and everybody else is wrong, you take all their money. All right. Yes, James does know oil. Like I said, he thinks he's got the secret sauce over there. And like I said, if he doesn't, they revoke his they revoke his oil card. All right. But then again, we have the regular standard one, the hashtag, or not hashtag, the exclamation point ticket, and that will get you your free one. So looking at markets today, we had a couple things that did okay. A little bit of retracement. You can see that we had, solid reds, and then it started to kind of flip back again. Some of the longer ones for the day versus kind of, again, the yen, 24 hours ago, we're obviously down from where we were, but then it's, the last hour, a couple hours, it's actually rallied back up again. Same thing with the Aussie, and similar situation. We were down, but has rallied. Now, again, the yen, I don't know where it came from today, where all the yen weakness came from. It had such a big kind of push, and then all of a sudden just went whoop and kind of flopped. Again, pound dollar is actually giving you the exact opposite. Again, the pound was actually strong in both cases against the dollar, but again, the dollar kind of had mixed views, right? Dollar yen really -3 nothing, and then again, you can see some CAD strength here as well as here. Okay, but interesting play because again, dollar strength in the Aussie dollar, but again, you saw the weakness over here. So. And again, strength over in this one. So kind of a mixed bag today. There's things a little bit all over the place, and yeah, it is what it is, right? But like I said, the only things that really met us full ATR today were pretty much the pound, which is really close. Dollar CAD was pretty close. And then again, obviously, pound yen did about half of what it was supposed to do. Everything else was pretty much blunted. And again, wasn't a huge day. When we go back and look at today, like I mentioned last night, consumer confidence was the only thing. I mean, it was a great number. The forecast was 129 and it actually came much, much higher. But at the end of the day, that was it. There really wasn't much more than that. Even the Richmond Manufacturing Index, they was previously it was a -12. It was huge, right? Then it was -1, and then it came in as a one, or I'm sorry, -2, and then it came in as a one. So that was considered all good news. One interesting thing that I heard today was them talking about at the next Fed meeting having another 25, pip or 25 point rate cut. And I was like, what? I was like, last time they were like, no, this is not going to happen. And now they're pretty much dead set on that there's going to be a recession. And then, we should lower it to kind of avoid the recession, which I think was pretty interesting. It's kind of one of those things. It's, you know, like him or not, some of the comments he's made about cutting rates, not cutting rates, being good times and bad times has come to be true. And again, a lot of that is also, him having the ability to kind of manipulate the markets back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's kind of interesting that we're talking about cutting rates yet again. After last time, like, no, one and done. That's all we're going to do unless you do this. And then we did that, and then it actually got worse. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a little interesting. Like I said, I think this fall is going to have some absolutely just amazing opportunities to be traders. Really excited for a lot of you guys that have really picked a lot of this stuff up. Again, I think Brexit will be great this fall. I think a lot of the election stuff will be good. I think there'll be a lot of political kind of bantering back and forth, and as polls show this person's winning versus that person's winning, I think there's going to be a lot of movement this fall. So looking forward for when we have the return to that versus what we have right now. Okay. As I mentioned, going into tomorrow, you have the oil inventories, and let me bring this down. Oh, it is on there. You guys can see not a lot of news tomorrow, but tomorrow night we have some New Zealand and some Aussie news right around when we get started. So we may not be able to get in there for the, in time for the New Zealand dollar. Hopefully, we'll kind of see what the this private capital expenditure does. We'll see. It'll be about halfway through our chart school tomorrow night, so we'll see how it kind of rolls out. All right. Ernest, let's see. What did Ernest say? Ernest did above. All right. We'll see if Ernest is right there. Let's see how many people we got over there bet on that one. All right, we got 3. It looks like Ernest is in. Wealth Builder looks like you're still trying to do it. You have to do a number in there. You have to do exclamation bet above or below. You just say above or below, and then you say how many pip chips you want to bet. So in your case, you just did the minus. So you would do exclamation bet below 10, and that would be the minimum bet you could do. All right. All right. So let's open up the platform and get in there. All right. So interesting thing. So last time we talked about it, I mentioned I put this big green square, and I said I'm saving my points for coaching. I need help. Hey, it's only 10. I mean, you already called it. It's only 10. I can see. Let's see. Where are you at, Ryan? Ryan, you're at 94. I mean, last time I think I put in 10, I ended up winning like 70. So I mean, there is the allure there to it being beneficial. That's how Ernest and I actually jumped up this high. So, yeah. So I talked about really kind of expecting this to go down, and it did. It actually hit our level, kind of, and then just kind of continued to push back down again. And it did run into an area which, again, we could have expected it. Again, a little basing level right here. You guys can see, nice pop sideways, a little bit of wick below, and then boom, another pop again, and it ran off of there. And I thought we would get a little bit lower than that. Again, it kind of didn't retrace all the way back up again, but there was the zone, there was the entry. It is moving back to the downside. Again, you guys can see the single wick against the wall is exactly what it ran in here to the downside. We had this nice little push. And again, this was a bit of a retracement off the top. Okay. Now, this may be a little bit confusing, Ryan. I know that you've been in situations where you're like, oh, wait a second, don't I want to take it long here or short here? And again, in this case, you were kind of getting in down here in a lot of these trades because you were not taking into consideration the big kind of moves down. This is a little bit different because this is actually the retrace back up to where it was. So this is a viable entry. It's not as much of a retest target because you can see this did it basically in 4 candles. This one did it in many less with some retracements back again. So again, here was your 4-hour zone that we hit off up to the downside. And again, you can see over here, downtrend setup came up, grabbed this area, started to push back down again, ended up running into a level right here on the 30-minute. I mean, literally just grazed the top of it. You guys can see it right here. Look at this. Look at that. Literally just right off the top of that zone. Okay, like magic. Okay, and it did move. If you took the risk on this one from last night, okay, it was about 15 pip risk, and it moved about 57. So it was over a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. So again, it was something that was viable if you were able to catch that. Okay, off of that zone, right? Actually, I guess I'd put it there to there. Put that up there. So that's what it was kind of looking like. 15 for 57. Okay. And again, now it's kind of pulled back up and kind of set itself right here. So I still would like this to go all the way back down again. I think we have the potential to do it. I think we're going to have a little bit more news. And again, tomorrow night could be the night. Again, we had that Australian news tomorrow. That could be, what kind of drives us to the downside. All right. Again, no way to know until tomorrow, but we'll kind of see how it stands. Looking at it on the 4 hour, looking for additional zones, I still do like this top zone. I like the way that it bounced off this zone originally. I created a new zone just a little bit lower here as well. This kind of peak up, you could technically take this as well, but it's pretty close, right? I mean, if you draw the top of the box, you only have this little area. It's less than kind of one of these boxes. So it's more or less a level on top of a level. Again, if you want to be, a little bit riskier, sure, you could take it, but I kind of like the farther one in most cases. I find that the farther one gives us the better option to get into it, okay? Looking at Aussie New Zealand. So, Aussie New Zealand, again, this thing is kind of bounced literally back and forth. Again, nice day up, right? But it's literally bang, 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 bang. So it is eating the heck out of this zone. This zone is basically shot. Again, we talked about this before. I've been bouncing, kind of came up, bounced again, went to the top side, and have now kind of stabilized at this kind of level, and then bounced and pulled again. So this zone has just literally been, it has gotten eaten left, right, sideways, and then back again. So it is obviously a blown up zone at this point. Again, we did have that bounce. We talked about this last night. We had this yellow wick over wick, and that's literally what it bounced off of about halfway through the zone before we went to the downside. At this point, again, we have now gone above it on the daily as well. And you guys can see that daily was based off of this single wick here. It did go a bit higher again, right? You could say that this is actually the zone, right? Because that's where it kind of came up at base and it started to do its kind of pattern across. We were doing it off the confirmation entry where the single wick was. But the true top of this area, the distal area, would be where we are right now. And again, that would be using the full red body to the piece here. And again, you can see that's kind of where it's at. Okay, so we are in an area still where it could still turn again, and that's what kind of triggered this one. This is the dialed down version of it on the lower time frame. So really at anywhere in this area, we could have that flip. Okay, again, we were trying to use the lower time frame to make a little bit better of an entry. And again, there was opportunity here where it went down and went up and then came all the way back down again and went up and then came all the way back down again. But again, this is our first, second, really third, and then fourth attempt finally broke through the top side. So that zone is more or less dead at this point. I wouldn't really rely on it too much, just based off of where we were. Okay, I'll leave this over here, and we'll put that there to get the drawing of that later. Okay. This tends to be when I don't like these trades as much, when it's a lot of wick and smaller bodies. Again, nice pattern on the way up. We're in this, and again, I'll go backwards. This is the area that we're kind of sitting in right now. I guess actually I could make this a little bit better. Hold on. Right there to there would be the best one. I'm using the bottom of this red right here. Okay, so you guys can see that's kind of where we're at right now, right? So anywhere in here we could have a turn and flip. Now, with that being said, you may look at this candle and say, there could be a potential for a retrace. And you're absolutely right. This is obviously a 3 candles straight up in the air. It could be somewhat of a retest. It's looking for orders. It's trying to go higher. We haven't got any type of confirmation really to the downside at all. On the lower time frame, we had a little bit, but nothing that screams pullback, right? So we do have to keep in mind, no, anything below this 105.91 area, we can start looking for this to retest and kind of push back down. So we know there are buyers sitting at this 105.91 area, so just be a bit cautious with this area, but there is that potential for it to break through, retest, and momentum it. That the little Harry Potter trade coming through the bottom. So that'd be about the only thing I'm looking for on this pair. Looking at Aussie dollar. I love that. I'm saving for my coaching. I need help. Ryan, you can get it without pip chips too. You just get them faster with pip chips. All right. And I already know what we're talking about, Ryan. We're going to talk about the initial retest versus the pullback. You're being like an engineer. Ryan, are you an engineer in real life? Like outside of here? Because you were going at this at a very much kind of engineering type, analysis. This was rule 1, this was rule 2. And I don't look at anything else versus the multiple different strategies that we trade. All right, so In this case, guys, you can see that we are not necessarily engulfed. Again, that was because of the Sunday gap to the downside. Eh, I would say we've kind of lost all trend. Yes, it is not. It is technically below, but again, that is because of the gap. If you continued and drew that candle to the downside, it would absolutely be engulfed at this point and sideways. Now you can see for the last about 20 hours, we did have this kind of peak up here. It did come up and grab these little kind of descending wicks in here, and you guys can kind of see it. And then what did it do? It kind of came back down and just based, right? And it's literally stuck in this basing pattern right now. You guys can see about 20 hours of nothing really. We had this slight pop, and then it just came back to the same area. So for me on this one, the Aussie dollar is really kind of flatlined. I don't know what gold did today. Let me see. I don't look at gold on a regular basis. Let's see here. So gold was down. Gold was at what, 1543. So, it's kind of pulled back. Nothing too super crazy. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, it kind of went up. I mean, it went up, but it's not at a high. Okay, so it's moving a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Aussie news tomorrow, some U.S. news tomorrow. We should get a little bit of movement on this one. Be cautious of this one if you guys come to the downside at all. Again, you guys can see this area. It did drive pretty deep in there, but it's a level on top of a level. Again, watch out for this single wick against the wall to the downside. Having it build kind of this little spike up here isn't bad. I mean, it did grab these red orders before the explosion. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, price came up, right to this level. I'm going to mark this one off right here. Okay. This is where it kind of just based and then exploded, and it came back up right to the same exact area where sellers. So we know there are some sellers up here where these kind of this little sawtooth effect is. So just be a bit cautious about that. And again, same thing. Watch out for this area. We're kind of wedged in between the two on the 4 hour. And again, you guys can see last week this was just flat. We got a little bit of movement down on Friday. Sunday we did have the gap down, which we saw in a lot of different pairs, news-wise. Parabolic retracement down, it retraced back up, but it went right back to the same area. And you guys can see where we are right now? See this gray line? This gray line is all the way back here. And again, this is on Thursday, right? This started here, Thursday, Friday, right here. And then Friday, gap, came up, over, and then here again, Tuesday. So this area at 6750, the 6760-ish area, very popular area. It likes that area a lot, and that's kind of what we're stuck in right now. So again, not trending for me. Okay, so pound Aussie. That's the reason not to hold over the weekend. Yeah, I don't hold over the weekend. Like, Rob is totally fine with it. He's cool with it. I don't like it just because of the gap risk, If you like to trade that much, you can always close it down Friday and then reopen it Monday if it hasn't moved at all. But why take the risk if you don't necessarily need to, You're not making, you're not even getting the carry effect with it, right? You get the double in the middle of the week, but you're not getting it on Saturday. So, yeah, not even that great. So, looking at the pound Aussie, okay, this one had a little bit more movement, right? Again, we had a big day right here on the Monday candle. The Tuesday candle, again, it's already starting to rally, right? It's kind of coming back up again. It's in an area right now where it's an interesting situation. So, if we look over here, we can see that the red is obviously engulfed. We were in an uptrend setup situation. If you look down on the 4 hour, you may have picked this zone, and again, you would have got stopped out on this zone, okay? It just wasn't that great, right? It ended up going through, it popped up a little bit, and then kind of went and based right below on the other side. And again, that can happen. You guys can see it. I'll draw one of these lines. Here's the very bottom, right, of the zone, and what happened? It went just below it, based, and then popped. So again, not a perfect science. It was in the middle of this kind of racetrack over here. And again, this would have been a very, very big area for support and resistance traders. They would have said, here was a pivot right here. It's right in the middle. Okay, let's do it, right? So again, kind of a trap the way that it was set up. Not really a whole lot you can do about it. And again, even if you look down here, you guys see this is the line. What did it do? It kind of went back. It stopped here before, and it went just lower than that peak before, and then started to rally back up again. So it is what it is. Sometimes it happens, guys. If you would have taken this one, again, this is not, I wouldn't say the highest quality level just because of the depth of the pullback. Again, it went down to this kind of midpoint here. We saw it before, and it was sticking out like a sore thumb for support and resistance. Okay. Sometimes when it's too obvious, that becomes a problem. So in this case, if you would have taken it, you probably would have got stopped out. I don't think you would have had that big of a buffer on there, although it was pretty close. You would have probably got out of the thing, watched it, and be like, my God, what is it doing? What is it doing? What is it doing? Why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? And then it went up, and you're like, oh, I did what it was supposed to do. Yeah, but that's also the reason why you wait for a confirmation entry. Okay, if you're looking for a long off this area. Okay, now if that was the case, okay, now again, this is why the confirmation entries are not bad. If this was your area, okay, that you were looking for, you can see price came through and hit the top of the area, and you're like, Now, did it leave very cleanly? Okay, this is another question that somebody sent me. They said, okay, well, wait a second, shouldn't we have gotten short in this pair? Well, did it leave very cleanly and then pull back? I mean, this candle is still touching it. This candle is still touching it. I mean, again, this is not anything strong. This one kind of went down. You say maybe, right? But again, not a very explosive movement off. It wasn't really retesting. It's coming across, and then it came up and just stayed. So never really got really that explosive of a candle, right? And again, this is Monday. I mean, basically from Monday all the way until this morning, just kind of stayed there. So when you're looking at this, if we're looking for a green red green to give us the kind of say, hey, confirmation that it is turning based off of that level, if you look, we have a green, a green is lower. That's not it, right? This one didn't do it right here. We're still in the red, green, red pattern. Here's a green, here's a red, but this green wasn't as high. That one wasn't as high. And then, a red. So that didn't give it to us. Here's a green, there's a red, but again, not the best. Here's a green, red, green. There we go. Okay, so that is at the far end of that zone, in which case you could have done this and said, okay, there's finally my confirmation entry. I'm going to take this back down and I'll use this as my low. Oops. Because that was the low of the kind of the piece. And you know what? Let me use the other color. Okay, you could say there was the entry, and there would be my risk. Okay, let's change this to red. Okay, I'm gonna change this to blue. Okay, now did it get stopped out here? No. And did it go up? Did it go up? Did it go through this basing level? Yeah, very, very slow. Came up again, up, and again, we're at this kind of wick over work right now. So it actually has moved. Okay, if this is something that you guys were going to follow, and again, this was like super early in the morning. Well, I guess it was late last night. You could have grabbed into this one. So from where we got the confirmation entry, price moved a total of about 66 pips to the top side. Is what you could have grabbed. Okay, so remember, again, for zones, that's why sometimes the confirmation entry, you get a little bit more risk sometimes. In this case, yes, it did go through the area. It never gave us a really kind of clean pull away and then pull back. It just kind of went and then stopped and went sideways. Gave you the entry right here, a green, red, green finally. And again, it did pull back on you a little bit. It pulled back about 10 pips, so you may have been kind of a little bit nervous, right? But what did it do? Came up, 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 up. And again, if you wanted to take a red, green, red in the other direction, you could have taken this red, this green, and this red when it left the area. And if you did that, you would have never taken any heat whatsoever in the trade. Okay. Typically, the deeper you can get a confirmation entry into the zone, the better off it tends to be because it's a lower level of risk for you. Okay. Had you taken it here where we had this confirmation, I'll move this out of the way. Say that you took your confirmation entry here as it left the area in a green, red, green. Now your risk level technically, instead of being 37 pips, would be from here back to the pivot down here, which is about 64. So see, it's twice the risk in that trade. Now, wouldn't have suffered any heat whatsoever. Actually, I guess you would have suffered a little bit, a tiny amount. But it tends to be the deeper you can get into a zone and get a confirmation entry, the better off it tends to work out for you. Okay. That's the reason not to hold the weekend. That's the one I got right this morning. Yep. So again, if you got this one, congrats to you. That's where you should have got it right down to there, about 160 pips in the other direction. Okay. Looking at the euro pound, here we go with the movement to the downside. Okay, now again, it spent very little time up here, right? Kind of turned, kind of came back down again. And again, it did its standard. I'm just going to base and just kind of do nothing after we kind of had its initial pop down. But again, nice movement down. We're approaching that kind of target over here at 90. We got it. Let's see. We got down to a low of 90.15. So we made it within 15 pips of where we had the target drawn. It's within striking distance. It's close, right? It's real close. I still think the best entry on this one would have been the Sunday gap if you are actually able to get in here. Again, depending on the spread, you may or may not have gotten it, depending on your broker. But that's really kind of the setup. And again, this is something we've been talking about for a while, kind of pulling back down into this zone. And I like it. Again, this was that racetrack that we were trying to overcome. Okay. Where was it? Over here. Okay. Now, where do we go with this now? So over here again, because of the gap, it's a little bit funky. We are obviously inside of a downtrend. We do have a red, green, red. We are getting to an area, so we're being a little bit cautious with anything short from here because we are only about 29 pips from this daily level. And again, this daily level, big level, right? I mean, it did move up 3, but that's where the explosion really took off on it. Looking at here, we are obviously in a downtrend setup, right? We have green candles. Here's the red. The red is outside of the green. But is there really a clear level for us to get into on the 30-minute is the big question, okay? This spiked up and kind of went into this level of basing, which is really a trash level, right? Because these two wicks are at the same spot. This level isn't horrible. You do have some descending candles in here, but it did spend 4 there. So, I mean, there is potentially a level here, right? Sitting there, and that's about 7 pips. So that's not a bad zone. You know, is it the best? No, it's not the best. But it's not horrible. Again, very sharp drop at base and then drop down again. It tried to retest and didn't even get to it. Came down, nice push again, retest up, try to grab these orders, push back down again. So we'll see. Like I said, it can move up. We'll still be inside. Let's see. That is at, let's see. I'll put this here. Yeah, so I wanted to do that because it goes to this chart up here. By us going all the way back up to this zone, this will be green all the way up. We will still be in a downtrend setup situation, as well as we will be on a downtrend setup most likely over here on the daily as well, okay, for it to kind of come to fruition. So it is setting up like we are looking at a good kind of spot here where we can get a downtrend setup on the 2 larger time frames to take this to the downside if, and I say if, we don't go down here first. If we do go down and touch 90, then I would say just eliminate that one. You can keep it kind of for your records. But let's not do too much else with it for right now, okay? But like I said, downtrend setup here. If we were green right now, if we had a green candle next to this one, we'd be a downtrend setup as well. And again, a little bit of a wick over, wick above, which is also just happens to be, again, right where this is, okay? It's right above in here. You guys can see the wick over wick right here? There's the black line. What's right below the black line? This area that this piece hit, okay? So just keep that in mind, okay? Looking at the euro yen. All right, so euro yen didn't do anything today. Okay, what did it do? It sucked back in the green area. We did pop outside of it, and then boom, suck right back in, and we're back to this kind of green dotted level. So it's at the kind of the target that we talked about from here. This was the first little pop. We came down, we sat on it, we went over across, and we're still sitting on it. We talked about this, I guess Monday. Yeah, we talked about this Monday that this was the first target, kind of where the pullback area is. And again, it held pretty well. So I'm still looking for it to come all the way down and kind of do this kind of retracement, this little Harry Potter thing at the bottom. But this was an area where we knew it was going to run into little problems. So still holding on this one, waiting again. Anything up and down with a little tiny body, just don't love them. Okay, you have lower highs. You kind of have lower lows here, right? So you have 1, 2, 1, and 2, although this is not the best lower low. It's got to clear the rest of the orders out at this area, and it looks like it's trying to do it, although it's got a little bit of a bump right here. So looking for a break of this level and a continuation pattern, and hopefully that will be us breaking through the bottom of the blue area. Okay. Still wait for that one, but that one's pretty boring. Looking at euro dollar. So euro dollar is only 15 or 16 pips from where it was last night. Okay. And again, you can see the 24-hour and the 60. And again, hey guys, I'm sure I told you this, but this is when I look at this is for my intraday setup. Okay, if I'm doing overnight, I'm not using 60, 15, and 5. I'm using 16, 50, and 5 for the trends during my intraday setups. For overnight, you would obviously change this. You would change this one to 4-hour. This would be 30-minute, and then this would be 5. Okay, so it kind of matches more what we have on the charts, just FYI. Okay, so right now, the way I'm looking at it is I'm looking at the 24-hour pip chains and kind of seeing what the 24 is showing me versus what the hourly shows me. But you can change these things, obviously, okay? But when I'm logged in, it automatically goes to my intraday setups. So as you can see here, we've pulled back, okay? We hit this little bit of an area. We did come back and retest it. I mentioned this last night. When it broke through the bottom, there was the first trade. It based, and it was just kind of like, oh, let's get out of this thing. It's too slow, okay? It did go through the bottom. It did give you another entry if you wanted it, but it wasn't really an explosive movement. And again, you can see nice movement, a little bit of a movement, starting to do the red again. Okay, the profit target is still sitting down here. Okay, over in. Oh, somebody's unhappy. Yeah, the little one is screaming in the other room. It's like, oh, I can hear. Again, nothing nothing super fantastic about this one, right? Still, we have this target down here to the downside. Again, handling this retracement up with the gap to the downside, but just not a lot of movement, not a lot of speed at all. It's just kind of, like I said, I'm ready for this one to get back to kind of normal trading. As you guys can see, I mean, look at the A2R. I mean, we're right here. We're at 49. We're under 50. And you guys look historically. We look back in here and in June we were up in the high 50s. But look at this, right? Here's January. January we're up here in the 80s, right? 75 and 80s, and now we're all the way over here down at 49. And again, at its worst, it was down to 40 back at the end of July. So it's like, man, I hope it doesn't go back to that again. The volatile days are just, summer was not good for this pair. But I want to see it kind of come back down again. Again, this is obviously a retracement move, and it's moving back to where it started. Again, I like the 110 range. The 110 range is something I've been looking at for a while. And again, if we get in the 110 range, definitely become more bearish because that's when people start talking about it going down. Now, us having talks about, recession and things like that obviously don't help this pair too much because they're like, oh, the dollar's weak, the dollar's weak. We don't want to talk about cutting rates. That will lead this, to kind of go astray. So we want to talk about strong dollar. Strong dollar will push this down further. And again, we'll see what the market brings tomorrow. All right. Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie did the same thing, basically, right? Basically, similar trade between these two. This one spiked up, went a little bit higher. I mentioned before, didn't necessarily like this zone because it's a little tiny body and a huge wick. And again, it was a viable trade. It did work. It kind of came back down, hit the gap, came all the way back down, and you guys can see it hit the profit target. Okay. Since it hit the profit target, what has it done? Nothing. There's a zone right above it. We have the zone at the bottom, and it's just flatlined. Okay. So Euro dollar is boring. Euro Aussie is even more boring at this point. You don't really get much more boring than this on the 30-minute chart. And you guys can see over here. I mean, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if we count this one, 6, 7. You guys have a day and a half of just nothing, right? Staying within this little kind of area right here. And again, even on the daily, you guys can see it. We had multiple days, one pop and retested, and we're kind of going right back down to that same zone. So we need the euro to pick it up. Somebody needs to give them an adrenaline shot. James, start sending them some mason jars. They need something over there. All right, let's go over to pound yen. And as that's going, we'll see. We have 4 people entered in this trade. And let's make sure the giveaways. See how you guys are doing giveaways. Giveaway says only 4 of you guys so far. Ernest doesn't need tickets, supposedly. Ernest did not do his exclamation point ticket. I think he has a plan. So lately, people towards the end are the ones that are winning. I think he has a plan. I think he's going to try to go in there at the end and pull a Carl and sneak it out. So, all right, so let's talk about this pair. Check this out on the 30-minute. Look at this. It's like, whoa, right? Is this pair trending right now? I mean, yes, this is trending. Is it trending right now? Not so much. I mean, it's going back and forth. I mean, I got to say it's, the ATR is over there at the 120 mark. It did come back up. It did touch this zone again, and it has since turned to the downside again. So again, somewhat of a viable setup. What is it? I got my ticket in. 5 seconds to close. Yeah, Ernest is like, I'm going in at the last final warning, and I'm going to win this. Yeah. So again, guys, it has been doing this bouncing back and forth. It hasn't been fast. It's been more of a 4-hour trade again. We retraced basically down. We had the gap. We hit this lower zone. It went all the way back up again. It hit the top side. Could you take it on the flip? Sure, you could. You'd be positive in this trade right now. If you were, I'd probably move my trade to break even because there's no trend right now. Since about 10 o'clock this morning, this pair is just kind of just slightly grinded to the side, but not a lot. Okay. Not a lot of movement on this one. Okay. Again, on the daily, again, it looks great, but you guys can see, I mean, look at the movement, right? It's a little just shooting back and forth. Okay, so again, top side, bottom side. The top side range, by the way, is 130.30 and 130.63, or top and bottom. The bottom side kind of demand area is 128.33 to 128.13. So about 20 pips on the bottom, about 30 pips on the top side is the areas that we seem to be bouncing back and forth. And again, that was initiated over here, came up, hit, went up through, went all the way to the top, came through, went all the way back to the bottom, came up, and now it's hit. So it's hit the top and bottom 1, 2, 3, 4 times at this point. We'll see what tomorrow brings if we can rally this one back to the downside. This pair, being that it's 24-hour pit move, right? If you guys look over here, it's only 62. Its current movement versus yesterday was only half of what its ATR is. So for me, it's kind of like a, do I want to get into a long grindy trade? Because that's what it's showing me right now, that it's not necessarily in a moving kind of pattern. Again, pulled down, pulled back up, and really hasn't changed too much from here to here, right? A little bit of a retrace, kind of whipsaw back and forth. Now, looking at pound dollar, it's at the top. I got my ticket in. Oh, yeah, we'll put it in. All right, so we marked this off last night. We had this kind of top zone. We had this little bottom zone. Again, there was the retrace to the downside. Okay, here we are right now at 19. There, oops, is where we were last night. Okay, so looking on the downside, we drew these both last night. What did we do? Okay, we talked about, oops, we had this level of basing, right? Came down, it hit it. Did it explode out of it? No. Gave you multiple entries into this one and went all the way back to the top side, right? And it basically just went above, went below, and it just has laid there right now. Not sure if I would get in this one again short yet. Again, very, very similar to what we saw before with the pound, where it is bouncing between two zones. This one has been a little bit cleaner because, again, this racetrack failed to the downside. Okay, it did not hit again. That can happen. It turned. It went about half of the way through. It formed the new base. Okay, and you guys can see that over here. That's what this kind of pinkish, salmonish color is. Came back up again. Fast entry here. Went to the top side. Created the gap on Friday. Went lower. Again, here was your entry when it refilled. Right. Boom, boom, boom. Went all the way down. Went retraced back to the 4-hour zone. Base sideways for a while, and then finally it extended and took itself off. So it has respected these channels. These trades though have taken a little while. Again, pound is not necessarily, nothing is really moving the way it should right now, but it is following the zones on the 4-hour. So this is also one thing that is a little bit challenging right now. If you're used to intraday trading and used to 30-minute charts, the 30-minute zones have been rather sloppy. We're only able necessarily to see them on the 4-hour. Okay, on the 4-hour it's easy, guys. You can pull the gap at the top, you can pull the gap at the bottom, and that's what it's respecting. A lot more difficult to find these things on the lower time frames. So just be a little cautious about that. For anybody that is trying to trade these using the lower, the 4, the 30, and the 5, just be a bit cautious with that. That does change, obviously, when the markets are a bit more volatile. There's more movement in them per day. You're going to see, obviously easier. It's a little bit easier to do, but right now, not so much. Okay. A little bit harder to catch those things. Okay. But again, we are at the top. You could take this to the downside. Again, you could take this with Nadex if you wanted. That's a possible play. Again, something a little bit farther out of the money. We'll see if we can get some movement tomorrow. But again, be cautious with it, right? And the reason I say out of the money is because, let's see, to the downside, that zone is about 60. So it's 3 strike prices away. And again, it can do that in a day. Okay. And again, if you're taking it out of the money, you don't have it. It doesn't have to move as far. Excuse me, for you to make money, take it out early. Don't hold it till expiration. All right. Going across to pound New Zealand. Vic, what is up? Vic, where you been? I haven't seen you around. You were doing good last week, and then I haven't seen you for a little while. Vic, make sure you do your exclamation point ticket to get your free ticket tonight. Oh, I guess I should change this. It says Thursday still. Whoops. Today's not Thursday. How did I change that the other day? Oop. There we go. Oops. I guess last night had the wrong date on it. So still in this daily zone. Okay. Again, we did have a pullback. This is on 5 minutes. I was like, why does this look so much different than what it should look like? There we go. That's better. I was like, what? You guys hate that when you're like, it's supposed to look like something, and then you look at it, you're like, no, it's totally wrong. All right. Excuse me. I'm drinking chamomile tea, and I don't know if the chamomile tea is making me tired or what it is. It's all I had downstairs. Yeah, same spot we are. Again, this is, there's a viable short in this one if you guys are looking for it. Again, at the very, very top, here's the zone that we're looking for right here, this daily. Okay, it was a nice little pop sideways and then nice kind of 5 days in a row down. Last time we hit it, we pushed back, although this is a very strong entry. This is number least number 2 in the zone. Okay, last time it had a very, very quick turnaround. Now it looks like it's starting to do a little bit slower. And again, on the lower time frame, let's see what we got here as far as zones below it. Got a little bit of a zone here, and again, that's what it looks like it's trying to bounce off of. You don't necessarily have, I guess you do have a red, green, red right here. It's not the fanciest thing in the world. I don't necessarily love it. This zone I would be a little bit cautious about. It did base, it did pop, it came down, and then this candle right here is kind of an explosive candle. Besides this large news spike, it's the biggest candle on the bottom here to the downside. It is in an uptrend. Again, I know you guys are like, wait, it's uptrend, you should be going long. Yeah, it's an uptrend, but it's inside of a supply zone, so it's not necessarily something I'd be looking to go long in. About the only thing I'd be willing to do is take a short. And again, I'd want to dial the risk down, but if I wanted to do that, on a smaller scale, you're looking at about 23 pips, right? It'd be to there, okay? 23 and your downward target. As much as I'd like to say down in here somewhere, as much as I'd like to say like I'd like it to be down in here, I think this is going to give us the problem. I think that's where we may have some type of a bounce off of it. Obviously, on the 4 hour looking at it, if we're taking a short, I'd be looking down here. Is again where I'd like it to be, but I think we're going to have some problems with that area smack there in the middle. You know what? Let me do this. Let's put a duplicate and we'll put this here, and then we can kind of gauge that one tomorrow. There, as a 1 and number 2. Oh, that's the chill tea. Yeah, chamomile tea is supposed to calm you down. I don't think it's supposed to make you tired, but I think it's supposed to, it's like lemon balm, like or lemongrass, whatever it's called. I think that's supposed to calm you down too. It's just, I don't know. I don't think there's many teas that are really supposed to jack you up. Why is the spread so large on pound New Zealand? That's a great question. Can anybody help James with that one? And think about it, James. Why would the spread be larger in a specific currency pair? Okay. I'll answer it in 1 sec, guys. I want you guys to think about it, though. See if you guys can answer it. Come on. I smell smoke. Somebody's thinking. Why? Why would the spread be larger in that one? What makes the spreads bigger? Nope. Yeah, low volume has something to do with it. Yeah, think about it. Right? Think about it. If you're worried about this one as having the biggest, what one has the smallest spread? It's not so much it's not as much volatility as you think it would be. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Yeah, it's liquidity. Yeah, it's liquidity. And again, Ernest, volatility is close. Volatility typically, volume and liquidity are somewhat the same thing, but think about it. The euro dollar has the smallest. Why? It's the most traded instrument in the world, right? There's a lot of orders out there, right? It's very easy to get in and out of position. The pound dollar has a smaller spread than the New Zealand dollar. Think about it. Does the New Zealand dollar have a bigger spread? Yes, typically, because it doesn't have as much volume as well as it doesn't have as much liquidity. Those two kind of go hand in hand. It's how easy is it to get out of that position? In a crisis, is there going to be a lot of things going on with the New Zealand bank? No, right? So again, you're kind of combining two things together. Two countries that are not quite as large as the U.S., right? So again, any of your hybrid or your cross pairs, and again, that's why you don't see a lot of traders talking about any of the other currencies that we can trade. Like, yeah, we can trade some of the other ones out there. Like you can trade some of these Scandinavian pairs, right? But people don't because, again, the spreads start to get a bit bigger, okay? And that's why you don't deal with them, okay? Like some of these exotics and stuff like that. You just don't deal with them, okay? Again, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. The other day I missed checking the spread and I was getting popped a few times before I noticed it. Yeah, you have to do that. And again, remember too, at news time, the spread changes. Okay. So that's the other thing. With smaller, again, this is one of those things about Oanda. Oanda is great. It's a smaller brokerage firm, but again, they have risk inside of news trading as well. So what would happen is typically you get some kind of crazy news release and their spreads would get really, really huge so they can protect themselves. Versus a larger brokerage firm like an IG or some, forex.com, because they have more, money under control, their spreads don't get as big during volatile times of news. Okay, so there's multiple different kind of scenarios you need to kind of you got to kind of look at. All right. So in this one, yes, there is a short to the downside. The spread's going to be bigger. The movement's going to be bigger. That's just what's going to happen with this pair. Okay. Looking at New Zealand dollar, and you can see right there, that one had a spread of 5, right? This one, okay, this one has a spread of 2. Why? Because it has the US dollar in there. It's not 2 minor pairs. When I say minor, if it's not the United States, it's basically considered a minor pair. All right, so still downtrend confirmed. We left the area. We pulled back. We retraced. Again, it came back up again. It grabbed some more orders. It's kind of pushed sideways again for the last, I don't know, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, 12 hours. Hasn't had enough movement. The problem we've had with this pair right now is, yes, it is grinding to the downside. We had a little bit of a pullback. The thing has been wicky. We had this bottom. It has pulled below. It did pull back up again to grab more orders. But unfortunately, it's just the projections on this are just so small. It just hasn't been worth trading it. Again, could you have got in here and just, rode this thing down for the last 2 weeks? Sure, you could have. Absolutely. I mean, it's, if you were more of a swing trader, not a bad level. And again, yes, that is 113 pips, right? But if we're looking at it, right, it's 113 pips, but it took you 19 days to do it. Okay, so you're getting less than 10 pips a day out of this pair. Is it worth holding that in your account for 19 days for 10 pips a day? Again, it may be for you, and that's okay if that's your world. Everybody's is different. Okay, for me, it goes back to opportunity cost. I'd much rather have that capital sitting there for something that I can grab 30 or 40 in a trade versus holding that capital for 19 days and having it slowly grind. Okay, that's just, just personal preference. Dollar Swiss. So Dollar Swiss actually did have, a little bit of movement today. It was showing a straight green, up 23, nothing earth-shattering, right? And you guys can see it. It continued its retracement, right? The last 4 hours, we basically had, I'd say from 3 a.m. to basically 7, right? Kind of during this period is where all the pop came from. Super early morning, 3 to 7, where most of the movement came from, and it really hasn't done much. It kind of retraced back again. It came up. Here was 3, right here, and here was 7. Okay, so that's where all the movement came in. European news. That's it. Haven't really got much more out of this one. And then again, basically since 10 till now, it's done absolutely nothing. So it did come up, and again, you guys may have looked at this. You guys remember we drew this black zone and said, hey, there's a little bit of an area right here we should watch out for. It did come up and tickle that and then kind of pulled back again. It's pulled back, let's see. It's pulled back 20 pips, so not even a huge amount. And again, I didn't necessarily love this zone, but we marked this off. You guys remember this last night? We marked this off. And that's what it came up and touched and pulled back down again. And again, drop, sideways, drop. Again, pretty convincing kind of 4 candles to the downside. It's officially hit its profit target to the top side is what it did. Okay, because again, you would have been long back over in this area. Probably the retest off of this, okay, is where you would have taken this one. Okay, so for me, no trade setup in this one. I'm not really interested. It's not really, again, yes, it's up, but all it's doing is retesting, and it just hit its retest point. Now on the 4 hour, it would go a little higher, but again, you guys can see on the 30-minute, there was a little bit of a hidden zone here. Okay, you cannot see it over here on the 4 hour, but you can see it on the 30-minute. This, and you can't see it over here. Okay, if we drop down to a 30-minute, you can probably see it. Yeah, right there. But you can't see it here. Okay. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, I expect that we will have some movement tomorrow. Again, the dollar CAD will be again reacting to oil, and again we have the giveaway. For those of you that are not familiar with the giveaway as well, or I guess it's the contest. If you guys type in, I guess it's exclamation point contest, it should explain what it is. But basically, you would bet your pip chips that you've acquired, and basically winner takes all, or winner takes whatever percentage of the pie that they have. And it's basically, well, the oil inventory report tomorrow is supposed to be minus 2.3. If it's above, meaning that it's obviously less than this and there's a surplus there, then these guys will win, right? If it is lower, and if it's a minus 3.5, then the bottom section wins. The way you get into this is exclamation point bet, and you're going to say above or below, and then 10 or 20 or 30, however many pip chips you guys want to bet on it. Okay, CAD. CAD, we had this little area here, and again, this is a situation where we had descending wicks. Okay, so we had this kind of piece here, and this was more or less our target, right? Coming back up from this kind of big drop down, hit this level of basing right here, right? And what did it do? It came back up again. So we were looking for somewhat of a replay, and that's what it did. It came up, it touched, it went through again, kind of pulled back. So it's now hovering around, and again, this area isn't necessarily drawn correctly. You'd have to get both the wicks. Oh, come here. Right there. Okay, so that's how you would draw it. But again, that was a retest off of this zone at the bottom, push down in accelerated fashion, retracing back up to a level. And again, we'd like it to go all the way up, but again, you can see this wick over wick. That would have been the first target, so it would have been a completion. So big pop down, big pop up again, exactly where we were 3 days ago on Friday. You guys can see Friday closed right here at 132.90. On Sunday, we closed at 132.95, 5 difference, and we pop down and pop right back up again. So a complete total retest of what we had. Where we are, though, I do like the fact that this has pushed up the win zone. It kind of pushed back and then drove a little bit higher. I'm probably a bit more bearish with this one, especially if the oil news is bad tomorrow. Okay. Obviously, if the oil news is bad, that's typically bad for the Canadian dollar because, again, it's the economy not doing as well. And that would shoot this and have this kind of turn around. I'm not sure what the target is there for. Definitely think this could turn and head back down into this 132.33-ish area, kind of right back down to where the start of this move was, where we saw the last time we had previous buyer step in. Again, it's been respecting these two lines, right? Up, down, halfway through, up, down, and it's kind of getting close again. So it's definitely a psychological level, this 132.25-ish area. That's kind of where I'm looking for, somewhere over, probably somewhere over in here is where I'd be looking for. Somewhere over in here is where I'd be looking for this with some bad oil news tomorrow. Okay. Dollar yen. Go dollar yen. I have so many things running right now. Or I could just crash it. I mean, that works too. Okay, there we go. So, dollar yen. First question is, are we trending? Okay. It did complete its retest. It went all the way back to the top. It tagged it here, and then since that time, it's kind of pulled back a little bit, and it ran into this level of basing. Okay. Since it ran into this level of basing here, yeah, it's got a little bit of a pop, and then has pulled back, and you guys can see from really noon till now hasn't done a single thing. It's literally stayed on the same plane. We had a little bit of a bounce, and you guys can see it on the 4 hour. From basically 8 till 10, it moved, but then till 12 it went right back. So we had a little bit of positive. At 10 it reversed and came back, and we've literally been at this same area, this 105.75 area, since Monday night. Okay, so for the last 24 hours, you guys can see over here. Okay, minus 11. What have we done? Okay, let's see. Here is when we first hit the area, and again, this is where we were. This is basically where we were doing chart school here, and this is where we are now. Right here, no movement across. So big question, are we trending? Answer is no. Again, I like the trending markets. We just don't have it right now. Retest was the best thing on Friday. That's all we can hope for, is we get another one of these big spikes and we can kind of play it that way. But man, right now, this thing's ugly. There's just not anything going on with this one, unfortunately. And again, hopefully, them talking about new, I don't know. I'm ready for Trump to start making some big tweets again. I want him to start attacking the Fed again. I think if he starts attacking the Fed, then we will, Oh, one other thing I heard interesting today is if we do not get a rate cut, that the Fed will be responsible for when we're at Dow 26,000. And I thought that was pretty interesting. that they made a comment about that you know, that somebody else would be responsible, that it would not be, anybody else's fault if the Dow goes down that far. That they would have to, they'd be responsible for that. Okay, now I know we're below that right now, but with everything going on in the economy, it should be higher than that. That if there's a recession, it's on them. Okay, that they're responsible for being at 26 and not higher from where we should be. So I think they were saying that we should be much, much higher than that, but I don't know. It's interesting when the news starts pointing blame. All right, let's jump into the last two. I don't expect too much on these either. I didn't even look at these two today. They weren't even on my radar. Got a little bit of push up, didn't really leave, came right back down again. So kind of the same basing that we were talking about before. Really nothing. Again, are we trending? Not really. Are we? Can't say that we're. I mean, I'd say it's more sideways. This is below, yes, but that was a gap from the weekend. So if you did draw kind of the gap as a day, we were sideways engulfed. It retraced back from this big piece and hasn't done much since. So we do have a red, green, red to the downside on the 4 hour, which is nice, but it did spend a lot of time here, and I don't really see too much. There's nothing in here that screamed that, hey, this is going to be a trend reversal. This is explosive. And we do, where this kind of purple is right now, we do have this kind of the ascending candles here where they're going to start kicking in about, that's not even that much. About 15 pips from now, we're going to run into an area where we had some buyers. So not looking like it's, going to be too much in that one. CAD yen is something that we will look at. So CAD yen is definitely a play for tomorrow. Okay, this one has had, banged off this zone a little bit. Okay, here was the initial movement down. There's the initial movement back up again. It kind of retraced it back, came back and touched, and has now pushed away again. So has been a little bit more action. This one, again, came down, gave you an entry here, gave you another entry and pushed down. I was really hoping, and again, this is where the dotted line is where the target. I was really hoping we would stay close to the top here or the bottom tomorrow for oil. We are kind of in the middle a little bit. So, things that I'd be watching out for. Again, we have this dotted line at the target, which is right here where the ascending candles are. If we get a retest and a spike, let's see how many pips it is. So it's about 50 pips, right, for us to go back into. Let me change this to blue. Okay. 50 pips with our news would put us right back into this upper area again, in which case I would be looking for a retest back to the downside. So that's about the only play. To the downside, I don't really necessarily have the same target. You got this single wick here at this target. You got this big kind of long extended range candle, but the wick's halfway through it. You got this kind of turning point at the bottom. To the downside. And it's a double wick. So I don't really like much to the downside on a spike. We have a zone here. Okay, we have a zone there based off this pop, sideways pop. Little single wick against the wall here. It did come back and touch it here. Yeah, there's buyers sitting there too. You got buyers sitting right there. Let's see, is that 50? It's about 50. All right, so it looks like this could be the zone for the downside. And I guess probably that would be the zone on the upside for any type of news spike. Okay, again, that would be off oil news. So those are about the only two options I see on that one right now. Like I said, we're wedged in between two zones, and again, top side, bottom side, we're in no man's land in that middle 33%. So not necessarily the best thing that we're looking to trade. Okay. All right, so that's the last currency pair. Like I said, we got some pairs that are showing a little bit of sign of relief, but on the flip side, there's a lot of pairs that really aren't yet. We still need some more. We need some more momentum back in. Remember, holiday week this week, obviously. Things will get a little funky at the end of the week, and we'll see how that goes. So with that being said, this one will continue to run. This is whether oil will be on the high side or the low side. Only 4 of you have taken advantage of this one. Okay. What does a public test page look like? Oh, there we go. Okay, so on the public test page, you could enter the amount and whether you think it's going to be above or below. That's interesting. So right now there's currently 55. So it looks like it's 50-50. So there's 2 in each. So right now, if it's below, each person's going to win 27 pip chips. If it's on the top, same thing. Each person will get 27 pip chips. Okay. All right. So let's go across. Let's go across to the giveaways and let's end the giveaway. So I'm going to end the giveaway in 1 minute. Let's see. Ernest is now officially in, right? So we're going to end it in 1 minute and we'll see here. If Ernest wins this, man, you guys are going to be like all over that last minute thing. I don't have the stomach for high stakes gambling. Will's like, no, I can't do it. I can't risk 10 of my pip chips for 27. That risk to return ratio is just horrible. I can't do it. It's funny. You have a 50% chance to win and a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, which basically means you're coming out on top, right? If your win-loss ratio is 50% and you're risking, it's a 3-to-1 risk to reward, you only need to be right 26% of the time to be positive. So shouldn't you get in on that, Will? Where do I sign in? What do you mean, where do you sign in? Just do go to where is it? That's different. So for the other one, for the contest, yeah, Vic, you're on. Why are you not on this list? Hold on 1 sec. Oh, you're there, Vic. Yeah, you got 2. Vic's there too. But yeah, for the other one, for the betting one, that's when you do the exclamation point and bet, and it'll all pop up for you, and you'll end up with this page, and you'll be able to kind of take advantage of it. Okay. All right, so let's close this one down. Close giveaway and draw the winner. Oh shit! Oh no! Uh-oh! Man, it's amazing that these last minute entries are the ones that are winning. Now I will say that Vic did snag one at the very, very end. Oh no, he did. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. How do I mark giveaway as complete? Yeah, it's complete. Nobody else can win that one. So I will go in a leaderboard. I will give Ernest right here. I will give him his 25. So you know what this means. You guys are literally going to wait to the very end tomorrow and be like, yup, I'm doing it at the end. So Ernest is up to 211. Oh, it's so good. So funny. All right, guys, let me see here. I don't know if I type in if that will do anything. No, I'll just tell you this one. I don't have any pip chips. I don't get pip chips on my own channel, so it doesn't work that way. All right, guys. So I will catch you guys tomorrow night. We will check this out tomorrow morning. Like I said, bets are in. You guys can place bets for another 4 hours in this one if you're in the channel. And, we'll see tomorrow morning. And I'll pick the winner tomorrow night. Obviously, you guys will already know who won, but I'll pick the winner and I'll show you how many chips and everything like that you guys got tomorrow. All right. So you guys take care. I will see you in the morning. I'm probably going to be on for the oil trade. So I will hopefully be able to look and post some retrace if I'm at the PC. All right. Take care, guys.